It's a 5-volt voltage regulator, so it regulates voltage from a higher voltage down to 5 volts. Hello and welcome to the sound test room. My name is Jakob, I'm your host, and you're watching a attaQ DIY episode. If you're new to this series or new to DIY electronics, then I suggest you go and watch this episode where I'm telling you about the basic tools you need to start building and doing DIY electronics. And then you can continue on watching me starting the build and continuing the build of the Echo Base delay unit. Alright, so I received the order with my missing components, transistors, a diode, a few pots and stuff, and the 4066 bilateral switch that was missing from here. I've gotten everything and I've already put it in, but I want to talk a bit about that. So I want you to pay attention to this thing right here, a 2N5089 transistor. Now there is an outline on the board. It might be hard to see, but there is a white outline, looks like that, and that means that the rounded edge of the transistor is supposed to be facing that way. Same goes for the BC560 transistor right here, and same goes for the voltage regulator. Now there are several types of voltage regulators, and this is the big one. It's just simply called 7805. It's a 5-volt voltage regulator, so it regulates voltage from a higher voltage down to 5 volts. But then there are these guys, and it's the same thing. This is a 78L05 voltage regulator. It's just smaller, and you can use this with this circuit too, but I like these better, that's why I use them. And as with the transistors, the flat side goes that way and the rounded, if you can call it that, goes that way. And the transistors and the voltage regulators all have 3 legs, and these long ones is something that took me some time to fiddle with. It's a diode. It only allows current to run in one direction, and that's why it's so important that you put these in the right way. Now on this one, there's a silver stripe at the edge that you can't see right now, and on the board there's a white line where the silver stripe is supposed to be. The diode with the silver stripe is gonna point that way on the board. Now this is why you shouldn't start with big stuff and put it on first, because like in my case, I got this diode after I put in the capacitors right here. It's not easy working with something like this because this is so tiny, and when I want to get in there and press it, it's just a chore. So start with putting in the small stuff as the diodes, resistors, and then go on to the bigger things. Now I'll also put in the holders for the IC circuits. You need to pay attention to the way they're supposed to be faced. And in this case, on this circuit board, the screen print pretty much tells you the way they're supposed to be facing. Leg number 1 is supposed to be down here, and this goes for all of the circuits. They've printed the text the way that the circuit is supposed to be facing, so that basically means that the chip is gonna go in the same way as the text is written out. If you're a beginner, I suggest you go search for the actual circuit that you have, the model number, and then just type datasheet afterwards, and then you'll find a datasheet for that particular circuit, and you'll see the pinout, so you'll know what leg is number 1. I'm just gonna start soldering this. Alright, so I think I've managed to solder everything in there. I'm just gonna go over my solderings and check so that everything is okay, because like at some places, like here, you can see that there are 2 things pointing against each other right there. You have to be careful so they don't short circuit one another, so always go over your stuff and check so that you did it right. Now you understand why it's so handy to have a magnifying glass. I am not a professional at this. I'm a hobbyist. I'm not certified in any way. Yeah, this pair is definitely too close. Alright, so I've clipped off the legs. The board looks okay to my unprofessional eye. The only thing I need to do now is to put in the bypass switch, the tail switch, the LFO switch, and the pots. And let's not forget power supply. Now I'm gonna supplying power to this using a 9-volt battery because I need my stuff to be portable. I'm gonna save that for the next episode where we solder all of the pots on there, and I'll talk a bit about what I'm planning with the panel design and everything. As usual, Doug Woods, Colin Sweeney, and me, Jakob at soundtestroom.com wishes you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.